Hey guys, welcome to the Shadow Sniper channel. I'm Tyler. I just recently started a new thing where I do a weekly series of doing firearms in the news. And being very imaginative and inventive, I call it Firearms in the News. But I didn't do one for last week, and the reason I didn't do one for last week is I had all my articles picked out, and I had some that were funny, and I was gonna make fun of Piers Morgan and all this stuff. And then all this stuff started happening in Connecticut. And if you haven't been following, basically what's happened is, in response to Sandy Hook, the state of Connecticut passed a law stating that all standard capacity magazines, 30-round AR magazines, 17-round pistol magazines, and so on, anything over 10 rounds, had to be registered with the state, and all semi-automatic modern semi-automatic sporting rifles or assault rifles had to be registered with the state, and it had to be done by January 1st, 2014. That in and of itself is bad, but that's not the worst part of it. Because what are they going to do? I talked about this in a previous video. First of all, they're not going to throw thousands of their own people in jail or fine them or whatever. It would be an uproar. But the bigger problem in the bigger picture, the bigger problem here is that a lot of people actually tried to do it, and a lot of people successfully did it. They registered because they can keep their guns if they register them. If they don't register them, then they have to get them out of the state. The problem with it is that a lot of people sent in their forms too late. They had to be postmarked January 1st, 2014. If they weren't, they were invalid. A lot of people had things on order for Christmas and stuff that didn't get there to their house until later, once they were, whatever, they got their serial numbers late. And then they tried to send in the paperwork so they could keep it. And the police, the state police and the government aren't accepting them. They're not accepting the late forms. So the Connecticut State Police have come out and said they're going to use these forms to provide them with the information they need to go and confiscate these firearms. Now we're getting into some real murky waters, and this is what caused me to put my video on hold. I needed time to think about this because, I have a little over 200 subscribers, and most of the guys that are subscribed to me and gals don't really watch my videos. They just subscribe here or there and never unsubscribe, But if you're watching my video and you're listening to what I have to say, then obviously, at least in some small part, you value my opinion. And I don't want to give people bad advice. So I had to think about how to respond to this. It's a very serious situation. So I'll say this. For those of us who don't live in Connecticut, as you know, if you watch very many of my videos, I live in West Virginia and always have my entire life. But for those of us who don't live in Connecticut, we shouldn't judge them and say, in the way of saying, "Oh, well, you're stupid for living in a communist state. You need to get out." I know that's one of the favorite things to say about New York and New Jersey and California. Oh, if you live in California or you live in New York, you're stupid and it's a communist state. You need to move. Well, you need to realize that's just not feasible for most people, just to pick up their entire lives and move. So what we need to do is support. We need to support those people in those states, especially people who are like-minded and are trying to get those illegal laws passed or repealed. And they are illegal laws. The Constitution says, Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the maintaining of a free people, the people's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, or something like that. That's paraphrased. So any law that's made that contradicts that is an illegal law. It's not valid. It's invalid, and it needs to be repealed. There are a lot of things about this that scare me. I'm afraid that people are just going to lie down and let it happen. They're going to let their guns be taken away. And at the same time, I'm afraid that they're going to stand up for their rights and for the rights of others, and they're going to stand up and it's going to end in bloodshed on both sides. Because as much as we like to think that we're prepared and we're ready for bad things to happen, the police are trained for this kind of stuff. They deal with violent criminals every day. Most of us are just regular people that sit in our house and go out and play weekend warrior. You know, no matter how hard you train, if you've never had formal training, you are a weekend warrior. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. You know, and I've had pistol classes and stuff. That doesn't make me any better than you. It's still just, you know, a couple days, a few hundred rounds. You know, so we have to realize that if it comes to blows, we're going to take our share. I'm not going to say that, you know, the other side is going to get away unscathed. I think we have numbers on them. There are more of us than there are of them. But do we want it to come to that? It's a hard place to be. And what really scares me more than anything else is there's that guy in Washington, who's all of our worst enemies, who is the enemy of freedom and liberty himself. The guy that thinks he knows better than you do how you should live and how you should, you know, how to take care of you. And he's already shown that he has no trouble circumventing Congress and the you know, the way that we normally do things to pass laws. He's shown no problems with ordering things done without the approval of Congress. And I think it would just take one incident, where a police officer was killed with an AR-15 by someone who was trying to protect themselves, trying to stand up for their rights, and that guy would call in the National Guard and say, here is why we shouldn't allow people to have these things. They're dangerous and they get police officers killed. And it's not going to matter that the cop shot the dude's dog or beat his wife or, you know, damaged his new car or whatever on the way into the house, or, you know, kicked his kid, or, you know, whatever. That stuff's not going to matter. It's not going to come out in the news. What's going to happen is they're going to say, look, if it hadn't been for assault weapons, this never would have happened. And regardless of how wrong that statement is, they're going to hammer it into people's heads. They're going to show the face of a dead cop over and over and over again. They're going to show pictures of that cop's family. And they're going to dig up every piece of dirt that exists on that guy. If he jacked off in a bathroom at an airport, they're going to drag up some crazy footage that proves it. You know, every piece of dirt that they can find, whether he paid his taxes late or whatever. And that's when the 3% is going to come in to play, and it's going to be very important. And I could be 100% wrong, and none of this will come to pass, and everything will go over smooth. You know, I watched a video that James Yeager did, and I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about James Yeager. I happen to enjoy his videos. I find him extremely entertaining, and he also puts out a good deal of information. But he did a video where he basically said, please, to the statesmen of Connecticut, the Congress, the legislature of Connecticut, please repeal this law. Please repeal it before something bad happens, and I'll second that. The only way that this ends peacefully is if the state of Connecticut repeals this law. If it comes to, you know, because you know, they're not going to send a state trooper to somebody's door wearing their uniform and their wide brim, you know, flat brimmed hat. It's not going to happen. They're going to send state troopers to these people's doors in fatigues and combat boots, wearing Kevlar, and carrying M4s, or MP5s, whatever. Guys, it can't end well. And please don't think that I'm telling you to lay down arms. I'm not. I'm telling you to be a reluctant soldier. Don't revel in the possibility of rebellion. We should revere human life, even if it's the life of someone who's obviously a moron and disagrees with us on every point of common sense that we believe in. Don't revel in the fact that we may have to kill our fellow countrymen. Guys, this has been a long video. It's been a serious video, and I hope you took it seriously. That's all I've got on this topic. I don't know if I'll be able to scratch up enough news to make it worth doing another video, a news video for this week. I probably am going to put the dates on this video for last week and this week. And well, that's all, guys. Thanks for watching the Shadow Sniper channel. This has been Tyler, your host here at the Shadow Sniper channel. Remember, this is America, and it's your freedom.